I'm only looking at two teams, Boston and Detroit. Plain and simple. New York is too inconsistent. I could care less what they do in the playoffs because they're going to have the same result they have every year.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Wind Up Wednesday edition, in segment 1, NBA playoff preview, and we're focusing on the teams that actually can win a title. We will also talk about the NBA awards in this era of eligibility quotas, for lack of a better term. In segment 2, we're going to take the whole segment and talk about the taking epidemic, because this is bad. This is really, really bad. And in segment 3, Angel Reese's move to Atlanta and the impact of the WNBA, thoughts on some of the players the WNBA draft, and CBS of the WNBA has a new era of visibility. Joining us today, our basketball correspondent, Danny Thompson's with us. Our international correspondent, Coach FD, is with us. And our favorite administrator here to keep some levity with us, Robert Abdi's here. Gentlemen, let us first help the fans out with key dates with the NBA playoffs. So we tape on Sundays, as you know, and the regular season ends today. All 30 teams are playing. It's just that all the players are playing, but that's another story that we'll talk about in segment 2. The play-in tournament is April 14th through 17th. And then April 18th, the NBA playoffs officially begin. And the running joke is the NBA playoffs are possibly the longest playoffs in any organized sports, because the NBA finals begins June 3rd. So the NBA playoffs start April 18th, and the NBA finals begin June 3rd and can go as long as June 19th. So, Danny, I'm going to start with you. Which teams in the Eastern Conference do you think have a chance of actually winning the title? Because I'm not talking about all 10 teams that are going to participate in postseason activities. Tell me the 3 or 4 that we should watch. What do you think, sir?
I'm only looking at two teams, Boston and Detroit. Plain and simple. New York is too inconsistent. I could care less what they do in the playoffs because they're going to have the same result they have every year. Cleveland, I would look out for, but not be like, oh, they're a threat to taking it all or getting out of the Eastern Conference. It's coming down to It's coming down to Boston and Detroit. Those are the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. There's no need to throw out any players. No, those two teams, especially now that Detroit got Cade Cunningham back, he was looking healthy once he got back from his injury. Boston, once Jaylen Brown comes back, we know what they're going to look like. So as of right now, it's just those two teams. It's only Boston and Detroit at this point.
Okay, Robert, which teams in the Eastern Conference do you think have a chance of actually winning an NBA title?
None. I don't think any of them. I don't think any of them can beat any of the Western teams.
All right. So FD, I love this. FD, out of the East, who do you think will win the NBA championship?
I think it will be difficult for the East for a team to win. But if a team has to win, I really think now it's gonna be the Boston Celtics. And why? Because they are third in defensive rating and second in offensive rating. So I think if you want to win NBA championship, you have to be good on both sides, offense and defense. And this team has that. And I was not a big fan of Jason Tatum coming back. I was very scared about how they're gonna use him with the upgrade of Jalen Brown, but I think Joe Mazzulla doing a great job. He's doing a very great job of Howie, and Jalen Brown is a smart player. They have the best team in the East on my part.
All right. So, Danny, I'm going to come to you for the West. Who can win the NBA championship coming out of the West?
Outside of OKC and San Antonio, the only teams I could possibly see doing it is maybe Denver. LA, I got to see how Luka comes back healthy. I got to see how Austin Reeves comes back healthy. What hurts them is the fact that they can't play defense. So that's why I'm not including them. And Denver is on a roll ever since I think like 10, 11 games, like a 10, 11 game winning streak. So we'll see how those three between OKC, San Antonio, and Denver look once the playoffs actually get going.
All right, Robert, you made me laugh for the East because no lies were told. Who do you think's going to win out of the West? Who should we watch?
Well, okay, here we go. I think that obviously the favorite is the Thunder. The Spurs can definitely beat the Thunder. But they're going to have to beat the Nuggets first. And I think that it is to Oklahoma City's advantage that they're going to be playing either the Lakers or the Rockets, and the Spurs and Nuggets get to beat each other up. Now, I would expect that series to go 7. I would expect a Thunder Spurs series to go 7. And, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that matchup is not, maybe Jokic doesn't keep that matchup as close as it could be. But I would say that any of those three could win, but the favorite is definitely the Thunder.
All right, and FD. What do you think about the West?
Definitely agree with Rover, and I think the most healthy team is going to win this Western Conference.
Yeah.
So, our story of the week, fans, the 65-game cliff, the integrity of the NBA, and the participation crisis. First, let's just get this out of the way. The 65-game rule was collectively bargained. So anybody complaining about it, shut up. Hey, that's why we have unions, and that's why we go through processes. So this was created because you were playing. So I really don't particularly care, but that's my editorial comment. So the CBA mandated 65-game minimum has triggered a massive wave of disqualifications for MVP, All-NBA, Defensive Player of the Year, and high-profile stars like Stephon Curry, LeBron James, Giannis, and Anthony Edwards are already ineligible. You also have something that I don't think's been talked about enough, and I want to bring this up, the 20-minute ghost rule. Stars like Devin Booker were disqualified because they failed to hit the 20-minute threshold in enough games. Victor Wembanyama just made it. And you also have teams just openly not playing players for a variety of reasons. The Memphis Grizzlies dressed only 6 players for their game against Utah, leading to a 46-point blowout, raising questions about the professional standard of an 81-game product. And of course, if you don't play in a certain amount of games, you are ineligible for awards, and those awards are tied to money. So I'm going to go to my administrator first. Robert, what are your thoughts on this situation with some players not being able to make all NBA and the national media outrage with this collectively bargained agreement? What do you think, sir?
Well, I first of all, I agree with you. It was collectively bargained, so you knew what the rules were. And this is a situation that the NBA has created by scheduling 82 games and having teams play 4 games in 6 days, and all of that kind of stuff. And you combine that with the mindset that has become more and more culturally, it's become more and more ingrained in sports culture that, once you've qualified for the playoffs, once this whole load management thing, okay, which was not a thing when we were older, with the 2 old guys on here, there was no load management. If there was a game, you played, and that just was that. And maybe you might play fewer minutes, but you played. And I think these guys, they know what the rule is. You got to play 65 games. You got to play 20 minutes in a game. I'm failing to see the problem.
Okay. Danny, you're the player. Played minor league basketball. You watch the league more than you are our basketball correspondent. We lean on you for everything basketball. What are you thinking about the complaining as we head to award season and the postseason?
I mean, I don't see the point of complaining. This is something that the players collectively bargained on when they agreed to the new CBA. So this is kind of a firestorm that they started. So in a sense, y'all gotta find out how to play these games because the first the first little inkling of load management was always you put a player on minutes restrictions when they were coming back with serious injury. There was no such thing as, oh, we're just gonna sit this person because they're hurt, not necessarily injured. So what teams would do is they would put players on minutes restrictions. Think back when Jordan came back from the broken foot back in his second season. They put him on a minutes restriction. They would look at him and be like, all right, we got to pull him out. They would give the sign, hey, come pull this player out. But he played. Because I'm like, now, yeah, I'm probably the youngest person on the panel, but I've never heard of load management. The first sign of it was the Spurs when you had an aging Tim Duncan, aging Tony Parker, and aging Manu Ginobili. That was the first sign of load management. It got out of hand when people started sitting for nothing that was supposed to be an injury, but you looked at them like they look fine. They just look hurt. So I think the distinction is people have to get a distinction of being injured and hurt. Now, as a player, I'm looking for a way to play, and you can't tell me otherwise. If I'm hurt, I'll figure it out. If I'm injured, that's one thing. If y'all say this could lead to an injury, then yeah, sit me down. But if I'm just hurt and it's not affecting me, it's not going to lead to some long-term injury, play me. But see, this is where we have to get this thing figured out because a lot of front offices have a lot to do with this as well because they're relying heavily on trainers that are saying, hey, we need to sit this person when the player is like, I'm trying to play. Look at Giannis with the Bucks. Giannis been saying for the entire time, I feel fine. Put me on the floor. But the Bucks are like, nah, we're not going to do that. So it's almost like the player wants to play, but they're fighting the organization. The organization wants to save money, so they won't play the player. So it's a double-edged sword at this point.
All right. So FD1, you're currently coaching championship level basketball. So congratulations to that.
Yes.
And 2, you're from the international perspective. As you're seeing this still actively in season, what are you thinking about all of the hubbub with the NBA and the 65 games and the awards? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts.
Yes, Danny bring a great point about it is a CBA agreement. So everybody signed on the table. They say, okay, now if you want to win a trophy, you got to play 65 games. So everybody knew the rules, and it is the rules. So, but I can understand now the big problem because if you are a player, you play every game and you have an injury. It is very difficult to know that, like Luka Doncic or Victor Wembanyama, maybe you will not be in the All-NBA team, and the impact on your finance is big because you have a lot of bonus coming from that. So, and also team are very happy, like Danny said, because they will pay less. It's great for the organization. But I think right now it is a very difficult, but the league has to solve it. But I don't know how they will do that because how? If you don't put the rules, player thinking will keep going on, and it's not good for fans. And if you put rules, some player will lose money. So honestly, I don't know how they're gonna do that, but it's not a good situation.
All right. So for me, I grew up with everybody putting tape on everything and run it out there. But today, not only are you already paid in college, but you're already paid in the league. And what is the incentive for you to play? I mean, you got guys making $300 million on contracts. Hey, I'm good. So it's really, really challenging when we talk about the goo gobs of money that they already have. And as FD said very subtly, hey, nobody in the front offices and the owners of the NBA teams are mad that they don't have to pay somebody like Devin Booker money or Stephen Curry money. No, sit out, fine, because now we're in the postseason. We're supposed to be seeing the best basketball. There are no back-to-backs in the postseason. So to go to Robert's first point, the league has to do a better job of booking their schedule. And one big thing is starting to bug them. The big bad booty daddy of the NFL is creeping all over their territory. So this is going to be something that's not going to be solved until the next CBA. But with that, in segment 2, we're going to have a real conversation on tanking and what the impact is having on general fans like us. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 2. We've got to talk about the taking epidemic, and we're going to look at it from a couple of lenses. One, I want to talk about the G League and the new taking playbook. So teams are increasingly utilizing OKC Thunder-inspired model, sorry, Mike King, signing and then overusing deep G League prospects late in the season. The Utah Jazz, for example, signed Anderson Garcia and Boz Mabing, and they played them up to 48 minutes a night. The team is minus 146 with Mabing on the floor this month. The Memphis Grizzlies, bless their hearts, set an NBA record by starting 25 different players this season after losing 15 of 17 games recently. And then you have late game foul outs. Tactics have evolved to include keeping players in the game despite foul trouble to force them to foul out. Our good old Wizards locally, Alex Sarr, committed 6 fouls in 22 minutes against the Warriors recently, while his coach intentionally left him on the floor. So we've also had a record number of blowouts this year. The average margin of victory is 13.1 points. We've had a record of 90 games decided by 30-plus points, 261 games decided by 20 points, and this is just crazy. So Adam Silver, in his infinite wisdom, is thinking about substantial rule changes, such as 3 formal proposals, an 18-team lottery, including all non-playoff and play-in teams with flattened odds, 22-team 2-year floor, which uses the combined record from the previous 2 seasons and implements a 25-win floor. Teams falling below this are penalized the lottery, and the 5x5 double lottery, which is interesting. The bottom 5 teams share identical top picks, but a second lottery ensures that no bottom 5 team is lower than 10. Now, they've been trying to circumvent the system in every sport since the beginning of time. So, Robert, I gave you a lot of info. and you're our administrator. What are your thoughts on tanking now that you're seeing the I mean, that's a lot of planning to lose. What do you think, sir?
Well, I mean, first of all, teams are going to do what they're allowed to get away with. And so for right now, they are within the framework of whatever rules exist, including, and I didn't know this was a thing. I thought you had to dress at least 8 in the NBA. I thought that was a requirement. And if it's not, it should be, because that's absurd. A professional basketball team that probably has 15 guys, plus another 3 available on, they should have to dress 8 guys. That I did not know was a thing. But a lot of this other stuff, I mean, having crappy basketball hurts your overall product. Because if I spend money, and I don't spend money on professional games very often, but if I spend money and I go watch the Spurs and Wemby ain't playing and they're playing the Jazz and the Jazz dress 7 guys, none of whom I've ever heard of in my life, and it's a 60-point blowout, I am much less likely to spend my money to watch crappy basketball, in a giant arena with all of the stuff, when it's a lot cheaper to watch it from and easier to watch it from home. And that's really it. And if I watch it at all from home, because when I'm home, I have choices. So all of that to say that, the NBA has a problem that they need to address. And I honestly don't know the best way for them to do it. I mean, you can have all of this draft, you can penalize draft picks. You can do different lotteries. You can say you've got to win 25 games okay. I mean, you can do all of that. But you have to have some kind of situation. Not to mention, and Keith, maybe I'm wrong on this. I'd be willing to bet that any solution of any substance that Adam Silver puts into place has to be collectively bargained.
There we go. With the rules of the commissioner. That's something we'll probably have Danny dive into this week. Danny, coming to you. It's a lot, man. And as a player, you always did want to play when you had 3 fouls, and you would tell your coach, I got this.
Yeah.
Even though we know you didn't. But what did you think when you see the spy level critiques on tanking and how they try to beat the system? What are you thinking, Danny?
I've always stated, and I don't care what this league tries to do, the teams will find a way to tank. And the crazy thing about it is, as much as I am as a player who wants to play, you can't have me around an organization that wants to tank this bad. I mean, the fact that I'm with Robert, I didn't know you only need to shoot 6 guys to play an NBA game. I always thought it was at least 8. And the fact that the Grizzlies only dressed 6, that says a lot.
And they didn't discount one price, man. They didn't discount one ticket.
Not at all. So it's crazy to me. And then it's like I was looking further into it, because even when it comes to the draft lottery, I think in May, like on May 28th, I think the board of governors, the owners are going to decide how they're going to reform the lottery at this point. So it's crazy to think, because as a player, I'm saying to myself, I don't want to be around this, because if y'all are tanking this bad, like look at Buddy Hield, the way they just late game bench him, he said it straight up, it effed up the money. So as a player, I'm sitting there finding out, look, I'm trying to play so I can maximize my money as best as I possibly can. Because if you're going to sit back and tank this bad to the point where I'm going to sit back and wonder, do y'all even care about winning? I don't care. It messes. I know for me, it messes with my psyche, because I'm trying to win at all costs right now. And the fact that now to the point where the league is having trouble trying to distinguish a tank or rebuild. So I get where they're trying to come from and trying to come up with these different rules and changes and alterations to stop this. But I mean, I said it in the past. Teams are going to find a way around it. I don't care what they try to do. I don't care if they try to mess with the odds on this player, if this team could get this draft pick. It's going to happen no matter what. And teams are going to find a way around it. And as a player, I'm going to get frustrated because I don't want to be a part of this, because I don't want to be a part of a losing culture. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to play. And if you're going to bench me for a possible draft pick for a guy you don't even know is going to perform up to the standards that they say he's going to perform, I'm trying to get out of it.
All right. So FD again, you're coaching now internationally. You have relegation in international basketball, which we joked about a lot on this show. When you read all of this and we break it down for you as we have, what do you think as the current coach on the panel?
Yeah, this is a very big situation. And, like, Robert said, I have also no idea what the NBA can do because, in Europe, if you lose, as I say every time, you're going to go to the second, the third, the fourth division, and impact will be very big on your finance. And how the NBA is controlled right now is even if you lose, you're going to have money because it is a closed league, everybody. And I think there's not very big things to do, but I always say that, honestly, when you see how the NTA is handling basketball, it is more competitive, and maybe you have to remove draft and say, okay, we stop draft and you can send the player you want. Maybe try that, and the big market will have the best player. Maybe why, but there's nothing that you can do because, like you say about Alexander Sarr, his coach say, okay, you can take your 6 hour, and it's the same way that it's tanking. It's another way to tank, and I'm very sad for fans because if you, like Robert say, if you pay a ticket and you go see a game, and you come from Brazil, you come from you come from Los Angeles, you want to see a game of the Spurs, and you paid a lot of money. Wemby do not play; he don't have an injury situation, and the other team has not. And you say, man, why should I come back again? Why? And yeah, I'm very sad, but they have to fix it. They have to fix it.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking about something. Maybe, at the end of the year, they just give more money to the first team and less to the last team. Maybe why not?
You got billionaire owners. It's
so I don't no idea, coach. I don't know how they would.
Well, and so let's just none of us have mentioned this, but let's throw this out there too. There's a lot of money on a lot of these games, and you got guys sitting at the end of the bench who ain't making a whole lot of money. How long until we get another Jonte Porter situation where you have a guy at the end of the bench who is giving information out?
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if they're not fixing anything, even if they're just saying, "Hey, Wemby and DeAndre Fox, they ain't playing," or so and so is hurt and he's on a minutes restriction. How long before we see that? How long until something like that pops?
And
Not long.
And I want to bring this up. So when Robert and I grew up, watching basketball in the 80s and so forth, there was always a running joke about the league being fixed and things like that. And then, oh, come on. Well, now that you have this out in the open, there's an integrity issue. And now that gambling is out in the open strictly for entertainment purposes only, people are questioning the integrity of your league and your product. And That's the biggest issue for me as a former 10-year season ticket holder to the Washington Wizards. I just got priced out. I enjoyed having the tickets. I just got priced out of the market. We can't afford them. We can't afford to go sit in the 200 section, the 300 section, 400 section, and just watch bad basketball. Nobody. It was a fundraiser for us, and there was no funds being raised because just because the Lakers are in town, that mean Kobe was playing. That mean LeBron was playing. So the league's got an issue, and I hope you have the best playoffs ever so you can get the stink off this, because that's all we've been talking about the last week is who's not playing. And when there's 168 available players who are not playing, that's not good for your league. So with that, in segment 3, we're going to flip it to the WNBA, big trades, and draft this week, plus a new TV deal. Maybe Robert can find it because Ion is not on his lexicon. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, we're going to shift to the WNBA and the gift that keeps on giving. Angel Reese got traded to Atlanta and out of Chicago. So here's the deal. The Chicago Sky traded two-time All-Star Angel Reese to the Atlanta Dream for 2027 and 2028 first-round draft picks. Angel Reese now is in a position where she's more visible, has a chance to win more, and with expectations come expectations. So we're going to see how that works out. The Chicago Sky are trying to rebuild after just a disastrous couple of years where they kind of blew opportunities. You've got a budding rivalry with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. You also have the WNBA draft coming up in terms of different players that are out there. So before we talk about the league and the new visibility with that, Danny, I'm going to start with you. You got the Angel Reese trade. You got all of the free agency movements. And by the time this comes out, the WNBA draft will already have taken place. Go in any direction you want in terms of, hey, what's driving your interest with the WNBA this week?
Something that caught my eye this week, and I was trying to, because I think me and you were texting a couple of days, and I was telling you, I was trying to keep track of all the player movement that has happened since the CBA and the free agent period has started. So, like some of the moves that kind of caught my eye, like Nneka Ogwumike going back to LA. You know, a lot of teams are going to get these guys, but will play these women, like New York. They went to go get Sasu Sabali, who is a hell of a third option for any team. And now she's going to New York, where they don't know if they're going to get Jonquel Jones back, but they still got Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu. So going to get Sasu Sabali, you can swap her and Brianna Stewart between the 3 and the 4, and you have mismatch problems for days. And if you want to go small, you can move them to the 4 and the 5, and now you really have matchup issues. But, I mean, the talk has been how abysmal, and I'm using the word that I don't ever use, is how bad the Chicago Sky look right now. There's too much friction where they're moving players around. There's no stability. You got 4 coaches in 4 years. So it's almost as if they're doing what we see in the NBA, which is tanking. They're trying to rebuild by throwing out bad teams. Because you got to think about it. When Angel Reese's first season happened, you had Teresa Weatherspoon as their coach. Took them to the playoffs. What they do next year? Fire Teresa Weatherspoon and ship Kennedy Carter out of the leagues in the room. She's playing in Mexico the last time I saw. So what Chicago is doing right now is almost reminiscent of trusting the process in Philadelphia. It's just that bad. The facilities are getting talked about where they're not playing in very high profile facilities. You're shutting out star talent to go to other teams. That's why I don't understand this trade sending Angel Reese to Atlanta. I get it. You're trying to build for the future. You get 2 first-round picks, but your team looks bad. Because now we're to the point, are they going to be like the Connecticut Sun, who's going to get shipped out and go to another city? Who knows? So the thing that caught my eye is the moves that's been happening so far this offseason. And then, of course, Chicago just looking bad.
Okay. FD, from an international perspective, what's caught your eye this week in the WNBA? Is it the draft or is it the free agents? What are you thinking?
I want to talk about the Angel Reese trade, and I was very surprised and interesting to follow that, coach. And what's crazy about that is that you trade. We knew Angel Reese had some problem to deal with, about the environment, about his shooting ability. But Angel Reese is an all-star. She's 13 rebound a game. And you trade that for draft pick, and maybe you give the dreams of Atlanta a situation, then they will be contender for the next season because of how the team is built. And I want to say I'm very surprised of that, and I'm also surprised of how people outside on the player side can impact trade, because like what Danny said, I listened some people say that some person of Angel Reese environment said talk about infrastructure were bad, and just had put the Chicago Sky in a situation that they has no opportunity to keep up. And yes, I was very surprised about the trade, the transfer deadline, and about how you can trade an all-star for just some draft pick.
For Magic Beans. Okay. Robert, what did you think? Or what is your story of the week with the WNBA? Is it the trades? Is it free agency? Or is it the draft? What's held your attention?
I mean, I'm casually tracking where people go in free agency. I have to admit, I mean, you can ask what the Chicago Sky are doing. I'm gonna, I may be going out on a limb here, but it may well have been that they were tired of Angel Reese. I'm just gonna say that because is she a all-star player? Yes, she is. Is there a lot of extra drama and other stuff that comes along with having Angel Reese? Yes. And do you need that when you're trying to figure out what you want your franchise to look like? No, you really don't. So I get it. It's a bad trade because it makes you, as Danny said, it makes you look bad. It makes you look like you're not trying. And I mean, there are enough good basketball players out there that anybody should be able to, I mean, everybody should be competitive in the WNBA, because we see former first round draft picks get cut all the time because there just aren't enough spots in the league for them to play. But when I saw the Angel Reese trade, that was immediately my first thought. They were tired of her and they needed her to go away.
Yeah. For me, I was never mad that Dallas traded Luka. Okay. It hadn't bothered me. And when the Lakers lose the first round, what else? What are you going to do? So I'm already in a better position in the lottery, and I don't have to worry about Luka's weight or anything like that, because a lot of times with administration, if I'm going to be bad, I like to be quiet and bad. I don't need to be loud and bad. So Chicago's not very good right now. And I really don't need to hear about all the things that are not happening. I got to do better with that. So let me just if you're going to lose, just go lose. And I'm okay with Chicago just saying, we're bad. On the flip side, Atlanta, you got all of these credentialed players and so forth. You got a new coach and you got a little system and so forth. You better win. And pressure is something. Now you got expectations. Now you're going to be on national TV. Now you're going to get a few more clicks and eyeballs. Yeah. Let's see how everybody deals with expectations, because everybody wants everything till it's time to do everything, and then you don't want nothing. Ask the NBA with the taking rule.
Well, and how is Atlanta going to react when, you have a game where, let's say, they're playing the Aces and they wind up losing by 6, and Angel Reese has 12 points and 18 rebounds, but is 4 for 19 from the floor, and 8 of the 18 rebounds are of her own missed layups.
Well, we'll find out how they answer the pressure, because to start the season, 2 of the first 3 games, Minnesota to start, and Vegas is the 3rd game of the season.
So we're going to find out real quick.
We're going to find out very early how they're going to respond to this newfound pressure they're going to get, because they're going to be looking at it as a championship contender this season. There's no doubt about it.
Expectations are something.
Expectations are real, and you were already the 3rd best team in the league last year. So everybody already had high hopes for you going into the season. Now you go get an all-star caliber player in Reese, who is, granted, best rebounder in the league, even though some of the stuff is coming up off her own stuff, which is fine. Now you're going to have to deal with expectations. Now you're going to have to deal with actual pressure. And like we said, they're going to get their first real test 2 of the first 3 games of the season, because Minnesota's on the road and Vegas is at home. Yeah. So we'll find out pretty early how well Atlanta's going to do this season.
All right. So to wrap up, CBS and the WNBA has created a new era of visibility. So we have a landmark deal. So there's a new long-term agreement which will bring up to 20 regular season games annually to the CBS television network and Paramount Plus. The 2026 season will feature 20 games on broadcast TV, which is the highest number in network history. This is a significant pivot from prior years where games were split between the CBS Sports Network's cable wing. The deal also includes an enhanced WNBA tip-off show featuring Hall of Famer Lisa Leslie and former All-Stars Renee Montgomery, aiming for the best in-class coverage to match the league's rising momentum. So we've got a 44-game slate. The season tips off May 8th, running through September 24th, and there's a break scheduled from September 1st to the 16th for the FIBA Women's World Cup. The league expands to 15 teams this year with the addition of the Portland Flyer and the Toronto Tempo, and the schedule is officially locked in following the transformational CBA agreement. The league's salary cap is jumping nearly 5 times, from $1.5 million to $7 million. The Supermax salary now starts at $1.4 million, and that is up from $240,000, making Asia Wilson and other top stars the first $1 million players. The deal also includes 20% revenue sharing, league-wide charter travel, which we've talked about for a long time on this show, historic pregnancy protections, including a rule that teams must get a player's consent before trading them while they're pregnant. The fact that we had to have a rule for that is something. So, Robert, as somebody that I kind of text and say, hey, are you watching? And you honestly say, I can't find the games. Now they're on CBS more frequently as the casual viewer. Does that help you want to watch games?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I don't have to go hunt for them, I am more likely to watch them, right? I mean, and I think that goes for any casual viewer. If you don't have to hunt for it, you're going to watch it. So having more now, here's the other thing. If it's on Paramount Plus, because I don't do streaming. The NFL games on Amazon, I don't do that. I don't go hunt for those games, and we don't pay for Amazon Prime, so I'm not gonna hunt for games. Now, it'll be interesting to see what the product is. It will be interesting to see if the WNBA is on top of their programming, because you don't need to have the Chicago Sky, on national network TV 6 times when they have nobody anybody's ever heard of on their roster, right? You did that because they had Angel Reese. You don't need that now. We should not see, and we should not see the Portland Fire or the Toronto Tempo on national TV more than once. We just shouldn't, because we don't know what we're going to get from them, right? So we will see if the WNBA if they're on top of their programming, because that has not always been the case.
Yes. All right, Danny, as the consumer for the OCP, are you happy games are on CBS and the Friday Night Ion may or may not be available? What are you thinking about the new landmark television deal?
I think this is a big deal for the WNBA because, like I said, it increases the visibility of the league. Because you got to think, not only are they going to be on the CBS network, they're also going to be on the USA network as well. The USA is going to be airing 50 games annually, during the season. So there are going to be more eyeballs on the league because now you got to think, you got the USA network, you got CBS, you got ESPN. So their visibility is out there. So now I'm going to look. Now, granted, I'm going to watch no matter what. If it's basketball game and it's on TV, I'm going to watch it. But with the WNBA, there are more opportunities to watch the games now because now they're talking about Wednesday nights could be double headers. So it's a possibility that the revenue can start increasing if they get more eyeballs. And then, like Robert said, who are they going to put on these nationally televised games? Because now, granted, I don't know what Chicago's going to do for the rest of y'all season. So far, their big splash outside of trading Angel Reese was signing Skylar Diggins. And that's a good marquee player to go get for your organization. So I want to see how else they build around Skylar, what they do in the draft. So they might shock some people this year. I don't know. But with games possibly being Vegas against New York, Minnesota against Vegas, we already talked about Atlanta has 2 marquee games in the first 3 games of the season. So this visibility with being on the CBS Sports, their networks, is going to be huge for the league. Because now, like Robert said, for casual fans, you don't have to go hunting for games to see who's on TV anymore. Because, somebody like me, I have League Pass for the WNBA. So I can watch it outside of the Mystics games because I don't have the Monumental Sports Network package and all that nonsense. I don't have it. But knowing me, I'm probably going to find a way to go to the games in person. But for other games that I want to watch, I can turn on CBS and I can watch it no problem. I can turn on the USA Network if you have the USA app. I can watch it no problem. So this is big for the league going into their 30th season. This is they're building on the momentum.
Okay. FD, how do you consume the WNBA? Is there some type of international package or something? Can you let me know what you think about this?
So you can have the NBA League Pass. So I think in Europe, not many people has it, but you also have some local channel, like we have in France, we have Bein Sport. They can show NBA games during the season. And after that, they can show WNBA games. But like you said, they have to build on the momentum. Or right now, even in international WNBA, it is more likely people want to see because you have more international players coming, and you also have more superstars that people know, like Lynn Clark and Angel Reese. So there has to be, like you said, Danny, on the momentum and make it, this season being the start of a new brand that will be big for also international.
All right. So on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and/or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, the global authentic leader of sports leadership where coaching wisdom meets real talk, also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.